everyone. You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Thomas I. Likeness, broadcasting from our studio in Edmonton, Canada. It's Tuesday, January 26th, 2021. In the news, we have updates from several of our correspondents from across North America. E.J. Gonzalez in Alexandria, Virginia, will tell us about the new strain of COVID that has been detected in a patient there. David Reggio in Oxnard, California.
California launches website for vaccination eligibility alerts.
Macy Membrari in Sacramento tells us that California has extended the eviction moratorium that protects tenants and small landlords during the pandemic. Anna Cui in Las Vegas, Nevada says the state wants clarification on its vaccination allocation. Abigail Dumlau in Rochester reports on the record number of visitors to state parks in New York that's occurred during the pandemic. Philip Toledo in Atlanta has a story about the anti-human trafficking initiatives that have been introduced by Georgia's First Lady. Jessica Isidro in Austin, Texas reports on the death of the owner of the famous Broken Spoke country music venue. And she tells us about another tech firm that's leaving Silicon Valley to set up shop in Texas. At the business desk, Bobby Soriano reports on a case study about the growing influence of retail investors on company valuations. And as well, he'll have this week's major earnings. For EBC Sports, Kenny Sumagi reports that Lebron James is returning home to Cleveland. And a virtual roundtable tonight. You'll never guess what it is. National Green Juice Day. Stay tuned to find out all about that. Our coverage begins now. This is a milestone we hoped we'd never see. COVID-19 has infected more than 100 million people worldwide since the pandemic began. Deaths have topped 2 million. And as vaccines are rolled out, the virus is adapting. New variants are emerging, many of them more contagious. They can spread faster. All of this tells us the pandemic is far from over. Let's look at the numbers now provided by the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine. As of 6 p.m. Eastern Time today, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide, as I've said, we've gone over that 100 million mark, 100,032,000. Top three on the list of countries with recorded cases: the United States, 25.3 million. India, 10.6 million. Brazil, 8.8 million. And sadly, more than 2,149,000 lives have been lost to this virus worldwide. Top three countries with the most number of COVID-related deaths: the United States, more than 423,000. Brazil, more than 217,000. And India, more than 153,000. One country where the virus has swept over it like a tsunami is the United Kingdom. The death toll there now exceeds 100,000 people. A somber Prime Minister Boris Johnson appeared at a news conference in London, and he says he accepts any blame people may put on his government.
I should just really repeat that I am deeply sorry for every life that has been lost, and of course, as Prime Minister, I take full responsibility for everything that the government has done. What I can tell you is that we truly did everything we could and continue to do everything that we can to minimize loss of life and to minimize suffering in what has been a very, very difficult stage and a very, very difficult crisis.
When the first COVID cases were reported in the UK nearly a year ago, Johnson hesitated to introduce measures to control the spread. As cases rose, he eventually locked the country down in March. Since then, the UK has endured another 2 waves of the virus. People have questioned how Johnson's government has handled the pandemic, particularly its testing and contact tracing protocols. In the United States these days, a different approach to the pandemic by the Biden administration. The pandemic has the president's full attention. Today, the U.S. government announced it's buying 200 million more doses of COVID-19 vaccine. And the government says by the end of the summer, some 300 million Americans should be immunized. The logistics of the vaccine distribution are being worked out by state governments. This is kind of like flying standby, except in this case, it's for the COVID vaccine. You know, standby flying, you get a cheap ticket if there's suddenly a seat that becomes available on a fully booked flight. Well, a similar situation has developed for the COVID-19 vaccine. In Los Angeles, these people that you see on the screen there, they're known as vaccine chasers. They're mostly young people who camp outside vaccine centers across the city, and they're hoping to receive one of the last doses at the end of the day. These unofficial standby lines began when word spread that doctors have to find people to receive the last doses of the day. Otherwise, they just go to waste. Dr. Jerry Abrams says once the vaccine is out of the fridge, it has to be used.
Once we open it, we have to use it all within 6 hours. There are times when the appointment line is down and we have expiring doses of vaccine, and I refuse to let a drop go to waste. No vaccine will ever be discarded if it's given to us here at Kedron. So in those instances, there are times when we have to go quickly search for people to be able to dispose of those doses.
Abraham says there are times when the appointment line is down and they end up with unused doses. Los Angeles resident Elaine Lowe waited outside this center for 18 hours.
Part of it is we really do feel like we're actually doing our part by doing this and getting vaccinated, because if this vaccine is just going to end up in the trash, like, what good does that do anyone? So if we're young enough and healthy enough to spend the night to come and get it, we might as well.
Those thoughts were echoed by another resident who identified himself as Adam.
I think anyone would feel the same thing. If they're going to throw it out, why waste it, you know? And it's not like anything's open right now, so I would be sleeping. So why not just wake up and try and help the world open back up and get this vaccine and start getting the world back to normal.
You know, situations like this illustrate just how desperate some people are to get immunized. Well, what price tag can you put on this pandemic? Geeta Gopinath, the chief economist of the International Monetary Fund, has been busy with her calculator, adding up the losses. She pegs the damage at $22 trillion. That's trillion with a T. $22 trillion. That's how much COVID-19 has reduced global economic output. Gopinath is optimistic the global economy will see a strong rebound this year, but there are no guarantees.
So we are living in highly uncertain times. We are projecting the world would grow this year as opposed to a severe collapse last year. But there is uncertainty. A lot depends upon the outcome of this race between a mutating virus and vaccines and how much policy support can hold up. And what we are seeing is divergence in prospects across countries.
Gopinath, of course, says this all is contingent upon getting most of the world's population immunized.
Firstly, all countries must accelerate the rollout of vaccinations. The international community must act quickly to make sure that vaccinations and the logistics of delivery of those vaccinations is available globally to address what is currently a deeply inequitous distribution of access to vaccines across the world.
A major task for the world's leaders. So how do you get people to comply with the face mask law? Indonesian authorities in Bali have come up with a unique solution to the problem. What do? They make the violators do push-ups. It seems foreign tourists make up 90% of the people who violate the mask law. Scores of foreigners have been ticketed and fined 100,000 rupiah. Well, that works out to about $7. But some people say they can't afford the fine, so they were ordered to do push-ups. All right, you don't wear a mask, you have to do 50 push-ups. Improperly wearing a mask results in a punishment. It's a lesser punishment. only 15. Still to come, we have reports from Alexandria, Virginia, and Oxnard and Sacramento in California. Eagle News America continues.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced, not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Pilipinas, a one-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Agila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Agila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to explaining our health outdoor.
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Hello, Happy Peeps! It's me, Janine Tanyoso. Catch me on Happy Time this Wednesday at 12 noon, only here on Net25.
Happy Time, Happy Time,
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Thomas I. Likeness. A new strain of the COVID-19 virus has been detected in a patient in Northern Virginia. We have more on that from Eagle News correspondent E.J. Gonzalez.
Thanks, Thomas. Before we get into some news from Virginia, here's a quick look at the COVID numbers for the state. According to the Virginia Department of Health, since January 8th, the 7-day moving average is seeing a decline, but there were still 4,707 new cases confirmed over the last week. The percent positivity rate is at 12.5%, and there are over 20,800 hospitalizations related to the virus. The total death toll for the state has now eclipsed the 6,100 mark. Today, a resident in Northern Virginia was found with a new COVID strain. This strain of the virus was first found in the United Kingdom last year. This is the state's first official case with the new strain, and the alarming part is that the said resident who tested positive with the new strain had no recent travel history. This variant is associated with increased person-to-person transmission of COVID-19. According to the State Health Commissioner, Dr. Norman Oliver, when compared to the known strains of the virus, this variant is known to spread more quickly between people. However, it is unclear whether or not this strain has more severe effects on the inhabitants. According to Dr. Anthony Fauci, the bigger threat of the new strain, which is being called B117 variant, is that it's more transmissible. He said that with this strain being more contagious, that means more people may end up being hospitalized, which would result ultimately in an increased death toll. Fauci reported that variations of strains are causing major problems in Brazil and South Africa, so it is important to continue to keep a lookout for it. So far, Dr. Fauci says that the new strain is not impacting the effectiveness of the vaccines that have been rolled out. According to Johns Hopkins University, Virginia ranks in the top 15 in the country for doses administered, with a total of more than 522,000 administered doses. Over 64,000 of those have been fully vaccinated. Innova hospitals in the state are reporting that there will be shortages for their patients after Virginia health officials have made changes in the way that doses are being allocated. They released a statement that they have suspended giving the initial doses and will remain that way for the foreseeable future. Governor Ralph Northam will hold a press release tomorrow at 2:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to update citizens of the latest developments for COVID-19 response and vaccinations. In Alexandria, Virginia, EJ Gonzalez, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
In California, that state has set up a website where people can check for vaccination eligibility alerts. We have more on that story from Eagle News correspondent David Reggio, who joins us live now from California. David, good evening, and tell us about that website.
Thank you, Thomas. With many Americans eagerly waiting to receive their doses of the Pfizer or Moderna COVID-19 vaccine, many wait in question for when they will be eligible. In California, a pilot website launched in San Diego and here in Los Angeles, allowing residents the option of receiving alerts when they're eligible to schedule an appointment to receive the COVID-19 vaccine and to also sign up for the vaccine. The website myturnca.gov is currently being piloted and currently operating on a trial basis for residents in San Diego and Los Angeles counties. With the successful rollout and launch, the website is set to launch throughout the state of California by early February of this year. To use this website, users will need to input basic information such as their age range and job classification to learn if they are qualified to receive the vaccination. For those who are eligible, they are able to schedule an appointment to receive their shot. Those who aren't eligible can provide their age range and occupation industry to register for text and email updates for alerts when they are able to schedule their shot. Angelinos are reminded on the MyTurn website that displays, quote, while COVID-19 vaccine supply is still limited, California is prioritizing vaccines for specific groups based on exposure risks, health risks, and health equity. MyTurn is where you can find out if it's your turn to get vaccinated and schedule vaccination appointments. If it isn't your turn yet, you can register to be notified when you become eligible, end quote. The MyTurn system will alert Californians when they are qualified to be vaccinated, while also being a statewide website to sign up for appointment times at designated locations throughout California, and an effective tool for providers to share data with the state to standardize and streamline the vaccination process. California Governor Gavin Newsom states, quote, the system will also allow vaccine providers to input faster, more up-to-date information on the numbers of shots being administered, resolving what he called a frustrating lag time in reporting that often makes it appear fewer shots have been given, end quote. In Oxnard, California, David Reggio, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
David, will the MyTurn website allow all residents in LA and San Diego counties to schedule an appointment right away?
No, Thomas, no. The system will still follow the state guidelines and protocols that only those in the qualified tiers, mainly healthcare workers and individuals 65 years and older at this time, in the 2 counties can book appointments immediately. The website is set to launch possibly in the next coming weeks, so online appointment scheduling for other groups and residents of other counties will be available soon. Thomas?
David, once everything's up and running, are you planning on signing up so you can get an alert?
Yes, definitely. Especially when things are getting more hectic by the day. It's especially good to understand where you're at if you're affected, because it's mainly good to keep your health up. And for the sake of my entire family, we want to make sure that all of us are well taken care of in this day and age.
Yeah, especially with these new variants that are coming out that are spreading much faster. And, oh, my goodness, you want all the protection you can get. Thanks for joining us this evening, David, and stay safe. We've got good news for tenants in California having trouble coming up with the rent. Eagle News correspondent Macy Membrari reports that the state has extended the moratorium on evictions.
Thank you. California has announced the extension of the eviction moratorium, which provides protections to both renters and small landlords during the time of this pandemic. The moratorium was set to expire in a few days, but has been extended through June this year. This announcement comes after huge collaboration efforts within the state, but also federal funding. Governor Gavin Newsom explains more.
Just announced a few moments ago, incredible leadership of our pro tem and our speaker. I want to thank them personally, their personal engagement on this. No one outsourced time and attention to getting a deal done, now being socialized today to extend the eviction protections to June 30th. By the way, I think it was 9:01 last night that the final period, exclamation, preposition, adjective was worked out. And so we were working through the weekend. I just want to congratulate, again, those leaders for a job well done. People will continue to pay at least 25% of their rent through June 30th. Remember, this eviction protection was due to expire at the end of this month. Now will expire July 1st. In essence, June 30th. Yet we address the issues of debt. And I don't want to go into too much detail. You'll get the detail when this is put forward to the legislature this week with urgency. But here's the important thing that is urgent, and I recognize it, and that's the need for resources. One thing to get protections, another to be able to pay your rent when it is due. Address the issues for small landlords that also have to pay mortgages and debt that they've accrued related to their properties as well. And so $2.6 billion is attached to this deal as part of the federal funds. Thank you, Speaker Pelosi. $2.6 billion, that's money that's going direct to some counties and cities, and obviously money that's coming into the state. We're going to leverage that $2.6 billion, focusing on low-income renters, targeting 50% of AMI, which is area of medium income, up to about 80% of AMI. The whole idea is to leverage the dollars and look at paying back rent, about 80%, but also get about 20% of that rent forgiven.
Now that California has lifted its temporary stay-at-home order, the state moves back to its blueprint for safely reopening the economy. Here is a message for California from Governor Newsom as counties reopen.
Just remind you, as always, to wear a mask and try to do our best to keep our activities outdoor, particularly now as we've lifted the stay-at-home order. We move into this blueprint, back to the blueprint, which is a governor of sorts. So we're not just reopening, but we're reopening in these tiers, well-established, well understood. And if, again, need to be reminded of the details around those, go to that covid19.ca.gov website. Whole idea is to keep our activities outside, keep you safe, work our way through the next number of months until we get to that herd immunity based upon the distribution access of vaccines.
In Sacramento, California, Macy Membrari, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Up next, we have stories from Las Vegas, Nevada, Rochester, New York, Atlanta, Georgia, and Austin, Texas. This is Eagle News America.
Events happen around us all the time. In our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Namayani ang galing ng second-time qualifiers na sina Willie Cordovales, Mariz Mitra at ang callbacker na si Ken Fraser. Isa sa kanila ang maaaring makatapat ng Luntayo siblings sa semifinals. Kung sino yan, let's find out as we begin the battle for the monthly finals. Ito po ang biggest talent competition on Philippine TV and online. Ito po ang Tagisan ng Galing Part 2 Singing Edition.
Kumanta, sumaya tayong lahat. Saya-saya.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business every Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. Open for Business, from vision to action.
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Thomas I. Likeness. In Nevada, the governor wants some answers on the state's COVID-19 allocation. Eagle News correspondent Anna Cui joins us now live to tell us more. Good evening, Anna. What's the governor asking for?
Yes, hi, Thomas. On Monday, Nevada Governor Steve Sisolak wrote a letter to Acting Health and Human Services Secretary Norris Cochran regarding the state's federal allocation of the COVID-19 vaccine. You know, because I don't know if you've seen in some publication that Nevada is showing second to last for doses received per capita. And they've only been delivered just over 9,000 doses per 100,000 residents. So Nevada is receiving far fewer doses than every other state except for South Carolina. And state officials don't really know why. They're not sure if the federal government is calculating the state's allocation based on the entire population, or is it just the 16-year-old and older who are eligible for the vaccine? So Governor Sisolak didn't only ask the US Department of Health and Human Services acting secretary to investigate that issue, but also to provide the formula they're using to determine the allocation, not only for Nevada, but specifically for Nevada. In that release statement, Sisolak stated, quote, "We need our fair share of vaccine doses to stand up and sustain successful vaccination efforts to reach Nevadans in an equitable fashion." In the meantime, Nevada does show better number when it comes to doses administered as a percentage of doses received, which is also, different from what the CDC has recorded. Nevada reported on Monday that over 164,000 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine have actually been administered. That's lower than what the CDC has. According to its vaccine tracking platform, the Nevada WebIZ. According to Candice McDaniel, she's the health bureau heading this vaccination program. She's part of the local Department of Health and Human Services here. Nevada has received over 286,000 doses as of Monday. So 164,000, that's about 57% administered out of what we have on hand. So state officials also reported that another approximately 20,000 doses have been given, but yet to be entered into WebIZ due to a backlog. And I don't know if you remember, Thomas, but that's been the issue. And I don't know, probably in other states as well, as I've read, that there's a backlog of data entry of these doses that have been administered. Out of that 20,000, 18,000 of them are from Clark County. And if we continue to do the math, Thomas, 184,000 shots in arms. State officials say we received over 286,000. That still leaves us a little over 100,000 not accounted for, right? So where are these doses? According to state officials, these are the ones that have been set aside for long-term care and skilled nursing facilities, which have their own special allocation, and they represent more than 50% of the unadministered doses in the state. Of the total 286,950 doses that have been delivered to Nevada, About 75,000 have gone directly to pharmacies to vaccinate residents and staff at long-term care and skilled nursing facilities in the state. But because the vaccination program operates independently from the state, there is, the state officials said there's little that they can do to speed it up. In Las Vegas and Aqui, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
Anna, I heard you're in that lucky minority where you actually got to receive the vaccine. What was that like? Tell us about your experience.
I did. I actually got it last week, and we were fortunate. I had somebody made the appointment for me, and that's a challenge in itself. I don't know if you tried it or anyone in our team here have tried it. You have to keep refreshing the website to catch an appointment, and I was lucky enough to get one. So I got it at the Southern Nevada Health District here in Clark County, and it went pretty smooth, really. I mean, from the time that I had to wait a little bit outside for about 15 minutes because they're just letting people in by appointments. But as soon as I got in there, it was, check your temperature, and then from station to station. I had my paper ready already, the questionnaire. I printed that out before going there. So I was probably in and out of there with the 15-minute waiting time after I got the vaccine, probably 25 minutes. So it was a good experience. They were very organized. Thomas.
No, pretty efficient. Any side effects from that? Any discomfort or anything?
I was sore for a couple of days, but that was it. And I continued to. I opted in for the. They call it the VCheck. It's an app that you download, and they check in on you every couple of days. The first day I got it, they checked in on me twice, and then now it's like once a day. They check in on you to see how you're doing.
So you've still got one more dose to take. What happens now? Are they going to alert you when that's available, or do you have to try and remember 26 days from now or whatever the timeline is to make another appointment?
Yes. So I did get the Moderna vaccine, and I was told that as of yesterday they will open up more appointments for the second dose. And then I checked yesterday, and I checked again today. The website said that there's no appointments available until February 1st. You can't make another appointment for your second dose until February 1st. So I'm due for my second dose end of February.
But the onus is on the individual to make that second appointment. There is no reminder then.
Yes, but there is no reminder. Well, actually today I checked the website and they said that they will send you a reminder. But I'm a little worried because it hasn't been going as well as I'm sure they plan. And that's because of the limited supply,
Maybe rely on your own memory for that as opposed to the government. Before you go, what have you been hearing on the street as far as the vaccine? Is there are people generally pretty open to receiving it, or actually willing to receive it, or is there still some opposition?
I would say about maybe half and half from the people that I talk to. But Thomas, what's really unfortunate right now. It's good that they've opened it up. It's now open to 70-year-old and older, to frontline community support like teachers and grocery workers and other people that have a lot of face time with the public. But the unfortunate thing is we have the 70-year-old population that are really challenged with making appointments, because right now you can't make appointments. They've opened it up to a couple of pharmacies, Smith's Pharmacy, another like Walgreens, but you can't call in to make an appointment. You have to go to them, or you have to do it online. So it's really unfortunate for our older population. It's a challenge for them to be.
Some of them very definitely technologically challenged. Thank you for joining us tonight, Anna, and do stay safe.
Thank you, Thomas. You too.
Well, the pandemic has proven to be a boon for New York's outdoor attractions and historic sites. Eagle News correspondent Abigail Dumlau tells us these venues saw a record number of visitors last year.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo announced that New York State Parks, historic sites, campgrounds, and trails welcomed a record-setting 78 million visits in 2020. The previous record of 77.1 million visits was set in 2019. The increase was driven by unprecedented visits in the spring and fall as New Yorkers turn to nearby state parks, trails, and historic sites to escape the pandemic. Visitation during the summer, typically the busiest time in the park system, was limited as beaches, pools, historic sites, and trails operated with reduced capacity to protect visitor health and promote social distancing. Attendance at some of the most popular destinations were also impacted by limits on out-of-state and international visitors by cancellation of large concerts, festivals, and events, and public messages urging people to stay local. Governor Cuomo said in 2020, our state parks became an even more critical resource than before as New Yorkers sought safe places for solace, exercise, and relief from the pandemic. Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul said, "We will continue to improve our state parks to provide more recreational opportunities for New Yorkers, but also boost our local downtowns and regional tourism economies across the state." New York recently completed a 750-mile Empire State Trail and will commit at least $440 million to the park system over the next 4 years. The initiative will focus on relieving overcrowded parks, welcoming new visitors, and protecting New York State's environmental and historic legacy. In Rochester, New York, Abigail Dumlao, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you.
In Atlanta, steps are being taken to crack down on human trafficking. We have more on that story from Eagle News correspondent Philip Toledo.
Thanks, Thomas. January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month, and yesterday, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp and Georgia's First Lady Marty Kemp introduced their 2021 initiatives to help combat what the governor called a sinister industry. The First Lady has been very involved with the Georgians for Refugee Action, Compassion, and Education, or GRACE Commission, as this is a special passion of hers. Let's take a look as she introduced the new initiatives.
During the upcoming session, we have two important initiatives that will go before the Georgia General Assembly. The first bill will create an exception to Georgia's current name change statute to protect the privacy and safety of human trafficking survivors who wish to have their name changed. The second bill will create a state cause of action by which these survivors may file suit for civil damages in Georgia's courts against their traffickers and others who knowingly profited off their victimization. Along with these bills, we're pushing for a Department of Driver Services rule change to renew and to require new and renewal CDL applicants to take an anti-trafficking course to receive their license.
The proposed name change legislation is significant because currently in Georgia, if you want to change your name, the request has to be filed publicly with the court and for a certain period of time. If the new legislation is approved, victims of human trafficking would be able to petition the court for the name change privately. The civil remedy proposal would allow victims to sue anyone who benefited from their trafficking in the state. And the requirement for an anti-trafficking training before receiving a commercial driver's license can be implemented more quickly because it's with the Georgia Department of Driver Services. And is also a key element in this fight because commercial drivers may be more likely to witness or unknowingly aid in human trafficking. The First Lady then went on to encourage Georgians to get involved in the fight. Let's take a look.
Initiatives, we can continue taking important steps to end modern-day slavery and ensure that our state is a safe haven for survivors. But I want every Georgian to know that these are just our most recent steps in our ongoing fight to end human trafficking, and certainly not our last. Every day we will continue to be on the lookout for new ways to help and make a difference. And I promise you, we will not rest until every victim is rescued and every trafficker is behind bars. I urge every Georgian to join us in this important mission. To get informed, please visit doas.ga.gov and complete our human trafficking awareness training. Already, nearly 58,000 Georgians have participated. It only takes 30 minutes, but it will give you the information you need to save a life. And if you have any suspicions about human trafficking, please call the new statewide anti-trafficking hotline at 1-866-END-HTGA.
Human trafficking is a key focus here in Georgia, as it is already a commerce and transportation hub with the world's busiest airport and several major interstates. We'll continue to keep you posted as more initiatives are announced. Until then, stay safe and well. In Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Philip Toledo, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
Up next, we'll have a report from Austin, Texas, news from our business desk, EBC Sports, and we're going to try and shoehorn in tonight's roundtable. You're watching Eagle News America.
Grabe, saludo ko. At hindi siya pangkaraniwan.
Talagang intense na intense. Parang napapanood ko lang siya sa mga international performance.
Hindi ko alam bakit ako kinakabahan. Hindi naman ako yung contestant. Sobrang bawa ko.
This is Tagisan ng Galing Part 2 Dance Edition!
Hey there, Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net25.
Sila ang mga kinikilalang bayaning may mahalagang papel para makamit ang kalayaan at pagbabago sa Pilipinas. Pero sa panahong ito, may mga bagong bayaning nakikipaglaban sa sakit na lumaganap sa buong daigdig, ang COVID-19. Ang ating mga frontliner, gaya ng healthcare workers, mga doktor, nurses, medical technologists, at iba pang health professionals, mga pulis, sundalo, security guards, mga tauhan na nangangalaga sa seguridad at mahahalagang pangangailangan ng bawat komunidad. Ang mga bagong bayani, ating pasalamatan. Kilalanin ang kanilang sakripisyo at serbisyo para sa lahat.
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Thomas I. Likeness. We go to Texas now, where EBC's Jessica Isidro tells us the owner of the Broken Spoke country music venue has died. Oh, and she's going to also report on the move of another big tech firm that's decided to leave Silicon Valley and make Texas its home.
Thank you, and howdy from the Lone Star State. The city of Austin is mourning the recent passing of James White, owner of Austin's iconic dance hall, live country music venue, bar and restaurant, The Broken Spoke, which was built in 1964 and featured many country, western, and swing musicians such as Willie Nelson, Garth Brooks, the Dixie Chicks, and Asleep at the Wheel, to name a few. The Broken Spoke has been featured as a setting in a number of films, documentaries, and even album covers. A legendary character himself, James White was described as the quintessential cowboy, always dressed in his cowboy hat, cowboy shirt, jeans, and boots. He was 81 years old and died of congestive heart failure in his South Austin home on Sunday, according to his family. Many celebrities and local dignitaries posted messages of condolences on their social media feeds. Austin Mayor Steve Adler posted on Twitter on Sunday, All Austin mourns the passing of James White, champion of and for live music in our city. So very sad. Country singer George Strait announced on Twitter, Mr. James White's passing leaves a deep hole in the Texas honky-tonk world. He was a man dedicated to keeping that tradition from slipping away. Some of my greatest memories are of playing the Broken Spoke back in the late 70s and early 80s. He gave me and the unknown at the time Ace and Hole Band a chance to play in front of people and no doubt was a big part of our success. He did that for many up-and-coming bands as well as already established artists who just wanted to play at the Spoke. Our prayers are with the family. White is survived by his daughter, Ginny Peacock. Meanwhile, another billion-dollar tech company is joining the ranks of Tesla and Hewlett-Packard and trading in Silicon Valley for Texas. Digital Realty announced this month that it is relocating its corporate headquarters from San Francisco, California to Austin, Texas, where it already owns more than 30 data centers across the Lone Star State, encompassing over 4 million square feet and over 100 megawatts of customer capacity. Currently, 20% of its North American base are employed in Texas. Digital Realty Chief Executive Officer William Stein stated, the central location, affordable cost of living, highly educated workforce, and supportive business climate have helped make Texas an epicenter for business activity and technology growth. Texas Governor Greg Abbott welcomed the high-tech firm, stating, "We are excited that Digital Realty has chosen Texas as the new home for their corporate headquarters, and I thank them for their expanded investment in the Lone Star State." Digital Realty joins other global technology leaders and more than 50 Fortune 500 companies now headquartered in Texas. We are seeing increasing investments from innovative businesses thanks to our young, growing, and educated workforce and our pro-growth economic policies that help job-creating businesses thrive. I thank Digital Realty for strengthening their presence in Texas, and I will continue to promote common sense policies that create a welcoming business climate and bring even more jobs to the Lone Star State. Meanwhile, I hope you're all staying safe and healthy in your part of the world. In Austin, Texas, I'm Jessica Isidro, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you in the studios.
And now with the latest financial news, EBC's business reporter Bobby Soriano.
Good evening. U.S. markets have closed. Here are your latest business headlines. It's been a very volatile start of the week for stocks, with video game retailer Gamestop feeling the brunt of it. The company's stock opened this morning up over 137% since last Tuesday, on seemingly no relevant news being issued by the retailer in recent weeks. The most likely culprit for the massive price move? Analysts appear to be blaming retail investors and their fight against institutional short sellers. GameStop has been a struggling company even before the pandemic due to the company's business model of selling video games using brick-and-mortar stores, at a time when most gamers are getting their games from online distributors. This attracted large institutional investment firms to short the company's stock, or in other words, borrowing shares in order to immediately sell them and buy it back at an expected lower price and profit from the difference. This is typically done when the price of a company's stock appears to be high, given the poor fundamentals of the company. Well, apparently, personal investors who only manage a small portfolio of stocks and capital, otherwise known as retail investors, did not take well to the news, and in an act of defiance or simply out of boredom, banded together in websites such as Reddit to coordinate a large-scale purchase of GameStop shares and call options, pushing the company's share price up. This in turn led to the large institutional investors having to cover their short positions, or in other words, buy back the stocks they originally sold to limit their losses. The combination of retail investors buying up shares and institutional investors covering their short positions has led to the price of GameStop shares rising to stratospheric levels relative to their price only a week ago. This has not deterred short sellers, however, from trying to sell more shares near all-time price highs, who are expecting an equally massive collapse of the price once the volatility settles. It's not clear yet who will end up winning this battle, those betting that the price will continue to shoot up or those predicting a collapse, but it's a sign of the power that new investors with easy access to the markets can have on the market value of a company. Gamestop shares are now up over 330% for the week after today's market close. Along with the volatility being introduced by market participants, this week's major earnings announcements are also seeing other company valuations move. Among more notable announcements, Microsoft announced better than expected earnings last quarter due to continued strength in their cloud software and video game hardware divisions during the pandemic, with shares reaching record highs today. Starbucks shares, however, are down 2% after the company reported a decline in same-store sales as customers continue to stay away due to the pandemic. Chipmaker AMD also beat revenue and earnings expectations and further provided a strong forecast for the current quarter, carried by sales of its chips in the latest video game consoles from Sony and Microsoft, as well as its high-end desktop processors and graphic cards, which continue to be hard to come by. U.S. indices closed slightly in the red today, as investors continue to digest the flood of earnings announcements that are coming this week. Reporting from New York, Bobby Soriano, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Well, it's a homecoming for Lebron James. EBC's Tenny Sumagi tells us that James will be playing his first game in Cleveland for the first time in more than 2 years.
Tom Brady's 10th Super Bowl appearance inspired LeBron James's 46-point performance against his old team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. The kid from Akron, Ohio, got a home-cooked meal from his mama, visited his uncle, and comments on the NFL quarterback's legendary career.
Home cooking, you know. You get an opportunity to see your mom and get a home-cooked meal. Saw my uncle. Just felt good to be back in my, you know, in my haven, my rest haven, you know, and that's being home. So, you know, and also, you know, obviously, you know, you get inspired watching the greats play and, you know, seeing Brady, see the things that he did with that team. That inspired me as well. But I just felt pretty good. I mean, as I have the whole season, I've been getting better and better as each game goes on, and felt good from the beginning and just trying to keep it going.
Will we see a career in politics for the King?
No, I haven't thought about that at all. You know, I still got a job to do here and playing a game at a high level. I want to continue to see what I can continue to do at this, you know, this beautiful game of basketball. I owe it to the game. It's given so much to me, so I owe it to the game. You know, but I haven't even thought about, you know, political stance or being in an office and things of that nature on that side. That's definitely not in my thinking right now.
And that's a wrap for today's NBA news. In New York, Tenny Sumagi, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
And I promised you we'd get it in here, our virtual roundtable. You know, it's National Green Juice Day today. And what's that, you say? Well, this National Day has been around for about 5 years now. It's a way to remind us to keep our wellness resolutions by drinking green juice. And I've heard a story off air about green juice. We're going to ask her about that. But you can make your own juice if you have a juicer. There's two types, masticating and centrifugal. Look them up on the internet to see which type might be the one that would be appropriate for you. But let's go around the table now. We'll start it off with Anna. Have you tried juicing vegetables?
Hi, Thomas. Yes, I did. I tried a long time ago because we have we have someone from our church who lives by it. He drinks it every day. It's a combination of, if I recall, celery, cucumber, green pepper, green apple, and bitter melon. So you can imagine it's very green. So I tried it because I thought that it would be easier to drink it as opposed to eat it, and it's very healthy, so it didn't taste very good. So I only did it once.
Well, based on the taste, I guess this brings back the old adage: if it doesn't kill you, it'll make you stronger.
Yes, I believe that.
Something like that. David, have you tried juicing vegetables at all?
I have a few times in my life. Vegetables are a very nutritious thing in my life, especially eating spinach and potatoes. But if one thing's for sure that's good for a juice, it would be personally, I really love drinking carrot juice. Carrot juice is really, really nice. It's good for your cake. It's good for just a quick drink to have in the morning, and it fits in just whenever you're feeling down or you feel like you could drink something really healthy. Carrot juice is definitely the way to go for me.
Eliza, what about you?
Oh, unlike Anna, I really love juicing my vegetables. I would tell Anna to try it maybe 2-3 more times until you get used to the taste. Because my first glass was really like you. I had a not so pleasant experience, but after a few more of carrots, celery, cucumber, spinach, lettuce, beets, ginger, and secret ingredient, Anna, to make it taste a little bit more pleasing is green apple. So always put green apple in it. Then I guarantee you'll be able to drink the whole glass.
You might be able to get it down. What type of juicer do you have, Eliza? Is it one that operates on centrifugal force, or does it kind of chew everything up?
We push it with this thing. We put all the vegetables in, and then we push it, and then it juices everything, and we throw away the what do you call those?
Yeah, the pulp. Yeah,
the pulp.
The masticating ones, they actually deal with that pulp a little more efficiently, but they take a lot longer to juice, and they're also probably about twice the price. We do have a centrifugal juicer. What was it we put in it? It was celery, and what all did you juice up? She did juice up some cucumber and stuff. I'm more of a fruit juice guy. If I want to juice something, like apples or avocados and stuff like that. But one group that really needs their vitamins, whether they get it from juice or just eating healthy, are the people out there on the first line, our first line responders. And let's take time now to salute them, our healthcare workers, first responders, essential workers, all of you folks out there. We really appreciate you. Let's give them a round of applause. And that's today's Eagle News America. Thank you for joining us. I'm Thomas I. Lakeness, and truly, we live in interesting times.
Sa mundong waring walang puwang para sa kanilang pagmamahalan, sapat ba ang tibok ng kanilang mga puso upang bumuo ng daigdig nilang sarili? Inihahandog ng Eagle Broadcasting Corporation ang kauna-unahang romantic teleserye ng Net25. Ang daigdig ko'y ikaw.
Sa mundo